but it also affects economic and human development. Despite no cure and vaccine being available, education has proven to be among the most cost-effective ways to prevent the spread of this disease. In fact, education can save lives by providing individuals with the knowledge to reduce this risk of becoming infected. Educating children and providing them with the knowledge and skill which can influence good choice to be made later in life will protect them as they reach the most vulnerable age of their life. Similarly, educating young minds about how this disease is transmitted, prevented, as well as encouraging testing if required, yields maximum results. In addition to helping with preventing HIV, education increases the tolerance and empathy of individuals who have contracted the disease by whatever means. I now request our principal, Father Andrew Silveira, to welcome the gathering.
A very good morning to Dr. Arpita Savan, dear staff members and my dear students. Education is for improving the life of others and for leaving your community and world better than you found it for others to live. As I welcome Dr. Arpita Savan as our resource person, sensitizing and training young minds, which comprises the largest sector of HIV infected segment today, as it is considered a tough subject for parents, guardians, and caregivers to discuss with their children. Nearly 34.4 million people are living with this disease. More than half of HIV infections occur among the youngsters. I feel educational awareness is the most effective tools to reduce social, economic vulnerability and thereby curb this global epidemic that affects our students, families, communities directly or indirectly. Indeed, we are very happy and fortunate to have Dr. Arpita Savan, who has made time for us today. As this topic is very important, I would request all our students, as we welcome Dr. Arpita, let us be attentive and learn what she has to tell us today. I wish you all the best and a happy listening.
Thank you, Father. To give us more knowledge and understanding of this disease, we have Dr. Ambika Savan, a medical officer at Rural Health Center, Mandu. Please welcome Dr. with a round of applause.
Good morning everyone. My name is Dr. Ambika Savan and I am a medical officer posted in Rural Health Center, Mandu. Today we all about this topic, prevention of HIV/AIDS. So why is it so important to talk about HIV/AIDS today with you all? Because you all are adolescents, you all will soon become adults. It is very important to have knowledge about HIV/AIDS so that you can protect yourself in future, right? Teenagers, as we all are now, teenagers, they have a lot of hormonal changes in their body, right? On everyday basis, they have a lot of hormone changes, and hence, sometimes as teenagers, they go into risky behaviors, like they want to try alcohol, they want to try drugs, they have sexual attraction towards their opposite genders, correct? I'm sure you all must be feeling all important to make you aware of the how to prevent HIV/AIDS. All right. So HIV is a serious infection, and this leads to AIDS. This disease is killing many people around the world of all ages. But there are medications available which are called as antiretroviral therapy, ART, okay, that have helped people with HIV/AIDS to live longer and healthier lives. But unfortunately, there is no cure to HIV. There is no complete cure. By this I mean there is no complete treatment for HIV. Okay? You must have heard about HIV/AIDS in papers or news or from your peers, from teachers, school, right? But you all must be aware that there is no cure. So any step you take in your life, it shouldn't land you in trouble. So it's very important to know the right facts about HIV/AIDS so that we can protect ourselves and our loved ones. So coming to some basic facts about HIV/AIDS. Medically, HIV is a virus. Do you all know virus? Okay, so it is a synonym for human immunodeficiency virus. Human immunodeficiency virus. Okay, you may have heard that this person is HIV positive, or this person is HIV infected, or some person is having AIDS. All this means that the person is having the virus in the body, and he can transmit this virus to another person. Okay? So what exactly happens? So basically, HIV, this virus attacks the body's immune system. The immune system is the one which protects us from all the infections. Okay? So germs, bacteria, viruses, the immune system is the one which protects us. So HIV, it significantly lowers this immune system. It attacks specifically the CD4 cells, also called as T helper cells. Okay, T helper cells, also called as CD4 cells. We call it CD4 cells. Okay, so basically it attacks these specific cells in the body called as T helper cells or CD4 cells. So over a period of time, the HIV positive people will become less and less able to fight the infection, because the viral load increases in the body and it keeps on attacking all the CD4 cells in the body. Alright? But there are medications called as ART which will help the immune system to stay stronger for a while, but not always. Once a person is HIV positive, he remains positive for his life. So now coming to AIDS. As you can see, AIDS is nothing but acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Okay? It is an advanced stage of HIV infection. A person with AIDS, when the immune system becomes so weak with HIV that the AIDS stage will start. So when he has AIDS, he will have more serious infections attacking him, like tuberculosis. Have you heard about tuberculosis, TB, tuberculosis, or some rare infections which are not found in normal population, like Kaposi sarcoma or like toxoplasmosis, etc. Okay, some rare infections also will infect the body. So this happens when there is AIDS stage of the HIV infection. Next. So this image shows the structure of HIV virus. We cannot see it with naked eyes. It is very fine. You have to see it under microscope. Okay. So as you can see, the virus is spherical in shape. It is round in shape. You can see some spikes. The spikes are viral proteins. Okay. And there is a red color shell outside. The red color shell is the lipid bilayer. Okay, so basically the virus is spherical in shape. It contains around 15 different types of viral proteins. Also, it contains two special enzymes called as reverse transcriptase and integrase. The ones the S-shaped S-shaped enzymes. You can see the S-shape inside the cell. So that is, one is reverse transcriptase and one is integrase enzyme. Alright? So the special thing about this enzyme is that the reverse transcriptase will convert the viral RNA to DNA, and integrase is the one which attaches the viral DNA into the host DNA, meaning our DNA. It attaches the viral DNA into our DNA. Okay? Next. Coming to life cycle of the virus. So what basically happens? As you can see in the picture, the virus will attach first to the helper cell. So that the yellow one is the helper T cells or the CD4 cell. Okay? The red one, which is on top with the green spikes, it is the virus, the HIV virus. Okay? So once the virus attaches itself to the helper cells, this process is known as binding. The first step, it is called as binding. It binds to the cell wall of the CD4 cell. Once this happens, the virus then fuses with the membrane of the cell. Okay? So this process is known as fusion. It fuses with the cell and then it leaves all it contains into the cytoplasm of the helper cell. Then comes the third step. The reverse transcriptase enzyme, which is released into the cell, will convert the viral RNA into the DNA. It converts viral RNA into DNA. After which, this is followed by the integrase enzyme. The integrase enzyme will then attach the viral DNA into the host DNA. It will attach its DNA into our DNA. Okay? This is followed by assembly. So what happens? So all the viral particles, they will multiply inside this CD4 cell. So there are million copies which are produced inside this CD4 cell. So after producing a lot of copies, all these particles will go towards the surface of the cell. Okay? Once this happens, it releases the viral particle outside the cell into the system, in the blood. Alright? So then, this process, last process, is called as budding. Budding means it releases 1,000 copies of virus inside the system, in the blood. So what happens to this CD4 cell, which has helped the viral RNA into replicating itself? So this CD4 cell, which was attacked by the virus, it will die. So this process will continue over the time till all the CD4 cells inside the body are attacked and destroyed. So what ART does, basically it maintains the lifespan of this CD4 cell. Okay? And these CD4 cells are very important, as you all know, to protect us from infections. Okay? Next. So how can you get infected with HIV/AIDS? I'm sure you all must be aware of some information. You all know how can we get affected? No? Yes. Some people are saying yes. So your age, your sex, your gender, your religion, your income does not matter. Anybody can get infected with HIV. Okay? So there are modes of transmission. There are 4 modes of transmission. So what are these modes of transmission? So as you can see, there are 4 modes of transmission. First one is unprotected sexual intercourse with a HIV infected partner. Okay? So what happens? The virus which is there in the body, it is there in all the body fluids, especially it is there in blood, it is there in vaginal fluids, it is there in semen, it is there in breast milk. These are 4 important sources of HIV in the body. Okay? So first one is vaginal fluid, semen, blood and breast milk. So any vaginal intercourse or oral sex or anal sex can spread HIV from an infected partner to a healthy partner. Are you with me? Last ones, Excuse me. Are you with me? Good. Okay. Also, the risk of spreading HIV is more in compared to males. It is more in case of females. Why? Because the surface area which is exposed to the virus is more in case of females. Okay. Also, uncircumcised males have a greater risk of infection compared to circumcised males. Okay. In presence of STD also, some people might have STD, sexually transmitted disease. So the presence of STD also increases the chances of HIV 8 times. Okay. So hence it is very important to be aware about all these things. Second mode of transmission is sharing needles or syringes. This mode is very common in IV drug users. Those people who abuse drugs or inject drugs on regular basis, what happens is they tend to share the needles or syringes. Why, that we don't know, maybe because to save cost and all, but they tend to share syringes and needles very often. So this is the second mode of transmission for HIV/AIDS. Alright. Third is transfusion of contaminated blood and blood products. This by far is the most infectious one because there is 95% chance of infection if you by chance you receive a contaminated blood transfusion. Okay, but nowadays the blood safety standards are all there, and as a hospital management they all screen all the blood products before giving a transfusion. Okay, but unfortunately sometimes it may happen. So there is 95% chance of you acquiring HIV through blood transfusion if it is a contaminated blood and blood products. The fourth one is perinatal transfusion. Perinatal transfusion means when the infected mother, the mother who is HIV positive, is pregnant and she can pass this virus to her baby. So this can happen during the entire phase of pregnancy. Like first, second, third trimesters are there. So during this course, she can transmit this virus to her baby through the placenta. You all know what is placenta? Placenta is the organ which supplies nutrition from the mother to the baby in the womb. Okay? So through placenta, this virus can transfer to baby. Also, this transmission can happen during labor pains, during delivery, during breastfeeding also. Okay, so this is the fourth commonest mode of transmission of HIV/AIDS. Also, the children who are born to HIV positive mothers will tend to progress faster to this AIDS stage. Their lifespan also is very short. So what are the symptoms? What are the symptoms they present with? So majority of the people who have this virus do not show any symptoms initially. They will be symptomless. They will look perfectly healthy to us. So, but they can always transmit this virus to another person. Okay? So, majority of the people will not have any symptoms initially. But later on, after a period of, there is something called as window period. Okay? So what is window period? The period between the infection and the development of antibodies. Antibodies means the virus attacks the body and the body starts producing antibodies to fight the virus. So there is a time lag between the infection and the antibody production. So this period is called as window period. Okay. What is the significance of this window period is that in the window period, if a person goes and tests for HIV infection, the test may come negative. Okay? So this is the significance you have to remember. Some patient may go and test and he may test negative, but suppose he has an exposure to any of these modes of transmission, he has to repeat the test. Okay? So, after a symptomless period, the patient, some of them develop flu-like symptoms. Okay? What are flu-like symptoms? Like we have cold, fever, or body pain, or muscle pain, headache. So these flu-like symptoms will happen. After a short span of time, this from this flu-like syndrome. They will recover on their own. After that, over a period of time, when the CD4 levels drop, when the virus keeps on attacking in the body, the CD4 cells, the levels will go down, right? So when this happens, the person starts developing other symptoms like tuberculosis symptoms or some other rare infections will come like Kaposi sarcoma, toxoplasmosis. Some patients also have chronic fever. Chronic, I mean, by chronic I mean is more than one month, okay? Chronic means more than 1 month fever, more than 1 month diarrhea. So these are the typical symptoms of HIV positive person. Also, they may complain of lymphadenopathy. What is lymphadenopathy? Means there are several glands which are present in the body. Glands are present in the body. These are called as lymph nodes. Okay. So when the virus attacks, this lymph nodes tries to fight with the virus, and in the process they swell up. So person will complain of a lot of glands like in the parotid gland or mandibular, axillary glands or inguinal glands. The glands will be there, swelling, small swellings they will complain of. Okay, so these are all the symptoms of HIV positive people which we are seeing commonly. So coming to clearing of some myths, as you can see in the picture, we cannot get HIV through casual contact like by touching a person, touching an infected person, or sitting next to a HIV infected person, or shaking hands with the person. There is no risk of HIV. HIV does not spread through casual contact. Also, tears, saliva and sweat do not transmit HIV infection. Okay. Third thing, HIV transmission does not occur by sharing any kitchen utensils like plates, sharing plates or sharing water drinking glasses or sharing any forks, knives, spoons. HIV transmission does not occur through this. By using public toilets also it does not transmit. Mosquito bites, must have heard, no, mosquito bites also transmit HIV. So it is not right. Mosquito bites cannot transmit HIV infection. Also by using common swimming pools also it does not transmit. So how can you prevent HIV? We'll finish soon, okay? How can you prevent HIV? First thing, by not having unprotected sexual intercourse with a HIV infected partner. Never have a unprotected. What is unprotected? Without using condoms. Heard of condoms? Yes. So by not having unprotected sexual intercourse with an infected partner. Remember this always, okay? Secondly, do not share any needles or syringes. Okay? I'm sure you are not using, but in future you must be aware, right? So do not never share any needles or syringes with another person. Okay? Always use a new syringe or a new needle. Third is always see that blood, which is if at all any of your relatives or you need a blood transfusion, see that it is screened for HIV/AIDS. It is always screened, but it's always good to know. It has to be always screened for HIV/AIDS. Okay? And fourth mode of transmission is perinatal from infected mother to child. So in that case, if the mother comes to know her status that she is HIV positive, she should ideally start the treatment very early in her pregnancy. So what happens when she starts the treatment very early in pregnancy? The viral load lowers and the chances of the virus being transmitted to the baby also decreases. Okay? So these are the ways in which you have to prevent HIV/AIDS. Can you tell if someone is HIV positive? Just by looking at them or just by talking with them, can you tell if he is positive? No, we cannot. We just cannot see that the patient is HIV positive because he will look normal to us. He will look healthy. Okay? Many people have the virus in them. They themselves are not aware of the virus, but they can always transmit this virus how can you test? How can we diagnose? How to know whether a person is HIV positive or not? Okay. So the only means is by testing. Testing the blood. We have to give blood for testing. Okay. Anybody wants to test for HIV has to give blood sample to the testing facility. So what happens basically is we have ICTC centers in Goa Medical College. Okay. So what is ICTC? ICTC is nothing but Integrated Counseling and Testing Centers. So this particular ICTC is there in Goa Medical College, and we have a dedicated ART center wherein all the HIV positive people are taking medicines from them, okay, on monthly basis. So when a person wants to test for HIV/AIDS, he has to go to ICTC wherein a counselor or a doctor will be there. This doctor or a counselor will counsel the patient first. This is called as pre-test counseling. Before the person gives the blood sample, he will be counseled on the ways in which transmission happens, or to assess the severity of this patient, whether he actually needs this test or whether there is any exposure actually happened. So this is called as pre-test counseling. Okay. Once this pre-test counseling happens, the patient has to give blood sample. The blood sample will be tested for 3 tests, which are called as rapid test. One blood sample goes in 3 different kits. Okay. So this test is called as ELISA test. Heard about ELISA? Yes. So this sample will be tested for 3 different kits of ELISA kits. Also, after this, when the patient comes to collect his reports, he will be again counseled, which is called as post-test counseling. On post-test counseling, the counselor will tell the patient whether his report is come positive or whether it is come negative. Okay. So if it is come positive, there is a confirmatory test, which is called as Western blot test. Okay. So if on the Western blot also he comes positive, the counselor will refer this patient or a person with HIV positive report to the ART center. So when the patient goes to ART center, he will be started on ART therapy. Okay, and this ART therapy will be lifelong. Every day on lifelong he has to take. If the person's report is come negative, so what will you do? The person will be counseled on how to prevent HIV/AIDS in future. Also, he will ask the patient to repeat the test if it is come negative, and if the counselor feels that there is an exposure present and the person needs a repeat test, he will counsel the patient to come again for the repeat test. And all this process of testing is highly confidential. Okay, it is confidential and it is not shared with anyone. So what are the key points to take home today? Okay, you cannot get HIV just by playing or talking or sitting next to a person, sharing kitchen utensils, using common bathrooms or common swimming pools. Okay, you cannot get HIV through this way. Second thing, do not touch anybody's blood with bare hands. Stay away from blood as far as possible. Okay, do not touch with bare hands. Always use a gloves or any protective measures. Thirdly, do not be afraid to meet a person with HIV/AIDS. Okay, treat him with the same respect you want to be treated when you are sick. Okay, so it is not who you are. It is what you do that puts you at risk. Always remember this. Okay. So let us see one video and then we will end this session.
10 facts you have to know
10
about
facts you have to know about HIV/AIDS. HIV/AIDS does not have the fearsome reputation that it did a few decades ago, but it is still a dangerous disease, especially in developing countries. The entire world still needs to be well informed about it to do its best to avoid it. With that in mind, here are 10 facts you must know about HIV/AIDS. It affects the immune system. An HIV infection leads to the deterioration of the immune system, causing disruption and providing space for infectious pathogens to take hold and grow. The HIV infection is said to reach the AIDS stage once 20 or more opportunistic infections or cancers make their way to the body. It transmits via bodily fluids. You cannot sneeze HIV onto another person. It is transmitted through the exchange of bodily fluids between people. Because of this, blood, semen, breast milk, vaginal fluids, and rectal fluids are the most common carriers of HIV. Anyone can get it. There is no immunity from HIV or any specific group that can contract it. Anyone can get HIV no matter how they live. Although living conditions and financial status can cause a disparity in reported cases, everyone remains at risk. You may not know you have it. There are no exact symptoms that suggest an HIV infection. You may have it a long time before you find out that you've been infected. The initial symptoms are regular illnesses such as flu or a slight fever. The only way to learn you have it is to get tested, ideally before it progresses to AIDS. An HIV infection is now manageable. An HIV infection is no longer a certain killer. Since the introduction of antiretroviral therapy, or ART, AIDS has become a manageable disease rather than a fatal one. However, the HIV infection needs to be detected as early as possible for ART to work. Otherwise, late-stage AIDS becomes too difficult to control. There are 2 HIV strains. While we only know HIV, there are 2 predominant strains of it found throughout the world. HIV-1 is the more popular kind that is likely to develop into AIDS. HIV-2 is mostly found in West Africa and is less likely to lead to AIDS. You can prevent HIV infection. You can protect yourself from an HIV infection by taking appropriate steps. Simple methods include having protected sex and not sharing hypodermic needles. You simply need to make sure foreign bodily fluids do not make their way inside you unless from someone you know who is not infected. AIDS supports opportunistic infections. Having AIDS increases the likeliness of getting opportunistic infections. It is not AIDS that makes a person sick. Instead, it is the infections it makes room for that lead to sickness. Pneumonia, tuberculosis, and several kinds of cancers can fester in the body because of AIDS. You do not get HIV from saliva. An infected person's saliva cannot transmit the disease unless it is mixed with blood. So, living with an infected person is not going to give you the disease if no bodily fluids are mixed. AIDS is still a major problem. More than 70 million people have been infected by AIDS since it was first detected. 35 million of them have died. Although ART has made living with HIV manageable, late-stage AIDS is still incredibly dangerous, with a life expectancy of 3 years since detection. That was all on some important facts you need to know about AIDS. Thank you for watching our video. Please do not forget to like and share the video. Also, please subscribe to the channel to stay updated on our latest videos.
Any questions you want to ask? Any doubts? Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Apika. My dear students, I would like to just add something to what doctor has given to us today. No sex before marriage. This is very important. Secondly, after getting married, be truthful to your partner. This is the second thing. And after that comes all the precautions. My dear students, as you grow up, always remember these 2 things in your life. As a token of appreciation and love to you, doctor, we present a small token to you. Madam Principal, please do the honors. Thank you, students. We have teacher Flavia to propose the vote of thanks.
On behalf of the NSS unit of Father Amin High Secondary School, I am privileged to propose the vote of thanks. I would like to thank our principal, Father Andrew Spira, for motivating us and supporting us whenever we take the initiative to organize program for our students. Words of gratitude to our resource person for today, Dr. Apika Sawant, for your precious time to be amidst us today and sharing the most valuable information on HIV/AIDS with our students, which will truly help them in their future. A big thank you to all the LSS volunteers, the LSS teachers for your helping hand to make this program a successful one. I would also like to thank all our support staff for the necessary arrangement. Thank you one and all.